Hey, it's probably a little early. I just wanted to turn on the video so people could be with Lily and I in one of our favorite places in nature. I'm just going to sit here till I see the first hello, the first good morning. Good morning. I wanted to sit here with you all because this is a spot I haven't been able to get to, usually because it's been too dark. But I come here and watch the sun come up over the trees, and I love the look of the sun when it hits the glinting of the waters. I've wanted to do a Facebook Live here for a long time. It's one of Lily's and my favorite places. It's also where I did a lot of the editing and filling in chapters for the Language of Creation book. It's where I come to write and meditate and journal. So hopefully in the time we're together this morning, the sun will break through to the water. You can see it a little bit, but it's really beautiful when it breaks through. Through over here a bit. And I love the trees here. The trees are extraordinary here. This has the energy of a fairyland, elemental power of nature here. And so it's just very perfect, I guess you could say, in ways that feed the soul of creation. I tried to sit back a bit so that I'm not drowned out by the sound of the water, although I wouldn't mind really. Life is a precious thing. I'm going to show you my other tree, a mama tree. They're called wedding trees because they grow together. They're married, kind of. I wanted them to meet you. We're moving into a solstice today and tomorrow and the next day as this time of year crosses our globe. And in the tradition of Damanhur, Italy, the temple of humankind. If you're not familiar with it, you can look it up. This is a time where the trees are in communication with the greater spheres, hold on, the greater spheres, the greater intelligence of all life. And according to the Tammanhurian tradition, they check in on the soul of human beings. They report in on the soul consciousness of human beings. Basically like a scanner or a communication system between so above, so below. And it's kind of hard in our tradition of a single God to think that there is realms of creation that participate in the growth of this species called human being. But I knew from the beginning when I got here that I was a small little temporal being that was one of the newbies in the ways of creation. And that I was cared for. Always, from the beginning. So I find in that kind of privacy, you don't want to share it with people, talk about it, because it doesn't go very far in the traditional human mind, the depth of intimacy that, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. The depth of intimacy that creation has with us. But this solstice really matters to me in a way that's in my privacy. I can feel the trees and the water and the rocks and the earth and the air and the sun. I can feel a quivering. Sort of like registering something exciting, something anticipatory, something precious. You know, there's no way we could love nature and the vista of the ocean or the lakes or the ponds or the creeks. This is Deer Creek, called Deer Creek. If we didn't know how precious we are to the universe. There's no way we would register how precious nature is to us if we didn't register, if we didn't at the same time realize, if we were capable of it, how precious we are to it. So for me, this solstice, which I'm going to pretty much do ritual the whole time, starting about 11:25 or at 11:25 tonight p.m. in various modalities of ritual till 11:25 p.m. tomorrow night. And I thought I might share with you. Remember, this is my privacy. This isn't me trying to teach you to do this or trying to recommend it to you or trying to give you the path to the power of creation, which I tend to do from time to time. This is just you and I hanging out at a creek, a really, really, really precious creek that has deep meaning for me. So tonight at 11:25 p.m. I'll do a ritual that connects me to Damanhur and to the rituals of union between the trees and the universe and human beings. And then tomorrow at 4:15 I have a section of my yard dedicated to Pan, because I have always carried that linkage, that activity. I've always carried that knowing. So it isn't about a symbol for me. It's more like a beingness that I have within me that never lost touch with certain beingnesses. And when words were given to some of those beingnesses, they fit for me. So it isn't like I learned about Pan. It really wants to be in the video for a minute. It's not like I learned about Pan when I got here. Whatever that representation of realm is in the word Pan, it registered for me when I got here. Much as you have words that you have registered within you that are doorways and gateways to the realms, the nebulous realms of energy that carry the preciousness of connection between the physical and non-physical realms. So one of my sentinels, rabbits, her younger child's rabbit, got brutally killed. So I asked her if I could have some of the rabbit's fur. And I really want you to know I don't share these things normally, because ritual, for the most part, that I find myself in with others, I find very shallow. A token ritual, not a genuine connection. And I didn't really know I was going to have this conversation I'm having this morning, but here in this place for me, I guess all is revealed, like when I wrote the language of creation here. Maybe the primordial mother has asked me to share this with you. Just remove the objectification of the words and let yourself live in the fairy activity. I don't know if you can see it. We'll see. We definitely do. So tomorrow morning at 4:15, at the break of day here in California, I'll go out to the area that is still forming. If you went to look at it, it's just a circle of rocks and two rocks at the top of it with a bunch of gangly little seeds tangled up with each other in the dirt. There's nothing formal about it. Pan doesn't really like the formal. But I'll take the fur of the rabbit and I'll, I'll lay it out across the seeds in Pan's garden, Pan's area, so that the trauma this creature experienced will go back to the soul of that creature, the tenderness, the sweetness, the memory of its bouncing around on the ground, smelling its clover and hanging out in the arms of its child. Give all those memories back to the mother through Pan and back to nature. You know, I spent years in Ireland with only one mission, and that mission was to restore the relationship between human beings and the elemental worlds and the worlds of the primal forces. That's what I do. I'm fortunate to have some capacities that lets me interact with human beings on behalf of the awakening of their remembrance of their own soul, their own direct link with creation, their own template of existence. But here is where I'm not separate from anything, and it is not separate from me. Turn it so you can see the sun. Sorry, I'm moving it again. For some reason, the sun really wants to be with you today. And obviously Lily. She's smarter than she seems. Dog doesn't completely define her. So I will take the tender fur of this rabbit and give it back to the mother so that it can live again in the memories of her heart. We all go back to where we came from. We're visitors here, you know. And then I have a class from 8 to 10. In the middle of that class, there'll be a ritual going on in Dom and Her. And I will pause for 5 minutes so that that linkage between myself and Dom and Her and what we share in our experience of our deep commitment to the evolution of the species. I think it's quite significant that that'll happen right in the midst of a body of work called Restructuring Money Matrices. And then we'll meet a group of us around a discussion of form. And then I'll go to a ritual with Georgia Dow, a formal solstice ritual. And I've been asked by the organizer of that ritual to be probably one of, with others, who has been asked to, as geopaths, to connect into the certain significant areas all over the world. It's like a webbing. It's so interesting to try to talk this because it's so alien in the experience human beings have of being separate from the world around them and separate from all life. But that's not my experience. When my feet touch the ground, the earth wraps around my toes. When I open up into feeling the sun on my body, there's an intelligence that we share that I open up into beyond human being. Do you know that you were existence without form before you were a form? You were part of the alchemy of the solar system and the galaxy, and you were where the formless became form and energy became matter, and as it densified became spirit and then flesh. So I just never lost that shared intelligence. It's not intellect, it's a feeling, it's a recognition. So I think this solstice is extremely important. It's an epicenter, I believe, an epicenter between the elemental worlds, the cosmic worlds, the primordial mother, her primal forces, and human beings. And that it might be a good time to celebrate that nothing can ever happen to us that destroys that union. It can destroy the relationship, and several of us in Ireland went on vision quest just to have the elemental world and the primal forces of earth, wind, fire, air, water get re-related to human beings who were still in the privacy of their intimacy with life. That's the key. The key is to reclaim your privacy of your intimacy with life. I would have that be our solstice prayer. That somewhere over the weekend we build our capacity to restore our intimacy with all life. Not as an action, but as a being. As a human being. See if I can capture the sun. I don't know if you can see all the little creatures. So I thought it was fascinating this morning that all the conditions were right. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. The sun was beautiful this morning. Now you get to see Lily's fur. Lily, you want to come? Thank you. So what do you think? I think it's time to restore the oops, sorry. That's called my dog. She has an opinion about how much time I spend anywhere without her. Suppose it's time to go. So thank you for your time with me this morning. Thank you for your love of life. Thank you for your commitment to restore your own preciousness, your own intimacy with life itself. to see if we can capture the sun. There we go. She's coming down now. He, she, it is coming down now. See if I can get this one little piece where you see the water and because I've got everybody's typing. I can't quite see, but we'll see if that works. So it's true, I do actually think that solstice is significant. I think that this might be important not to be a token ritual or even a side thought. I know some of you on this call, and I'm making a request that you find your rituals. Whether they're in the privacy of your own home, that you actually take at least 3 separate rituals, because one ritual won't do it. You have to get the attention of creation. You have to let it know you mean it. So Lily and I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, made our way to the park. We took a walk because it takes a bit to get here, because this side of the park's closed in the morning. We sat down, we prepared, we let the universe know this was on behalf of all life, and that this was a human that was establishing this ritual on behalf of all life out of her love, her tenderness, her privacy, most important word, the privacy of our own soul, the privacy. So those of you that know ritual, it's fine if you're doing a public ritual, I am too, but 2 more, okay? Siobhan, 2 more privacies. 2 more times, a trinity of connection. 3 times in all, just to stop for 5 minutes, just to key in, because there's something happening. And it is hard because you can't think it with your head, and probably your physical body doesn't have the registers yet, and your emotions don't either, and your mental mind certainly does not. But would you trust me on this one? 3 times over the solstice. Touch a flower. Say, I am here. I love you and thank you for what you are that has me feel love again. Whatever it is for you. This is not just a day, another day. We should get the attention of the greater powers and forces of creation and let them know we care about being alive here. We care that the human species gets to thrive here. That we care, and it matters to us that we're part of the great web of life, and that we're taking time 3 times over this weekend to let whatever's going on in the activity of the greater systems to put in our 2 cents. Okay? Promise? Don't be a foolish human. Don't get caught up in human folly. Be serious. Be serious. Just because you don't register something, just because you don't feel it in your body or in your heart or in your emotions, even a token gesture will do. I'll do the rest. Namaste.